Okay, everyone, we've reached Thursday and we are now just a couple of days away from Celtic returning to action. A fair bit to get through on today's video, so, settle down. First thing worth mentioning is that we are still top of the Scottish Premiership. Rangers played Ross County last night, beat them 3-1, and even though they had about 14 minutes of added time added on, and I'm not even joking there, they couldn't get that 3-goal victory that would have taken them top of the Premiership last night. So this is what the table looks like. We are top, as you can see, well clear there at the top. I mean, to the extent that my table doesn't even show the metric goals for that has us top of the table right now. I know some people online are maybe talking about this as being like a psychological blow for our rivals, them having a chance to go top of the league and not taking it. And while I will use virtually any opportunity to lay the boot into them, I really don't see it that way. I mean, they still won last night. It's tied at the top now. Even if they'd have gone top last night, it wouldn't really have changed what I'm saying right now. It's all about what happens from here on, and kind of in a weird way, everything that's gone before, league-wise anyway, is irrelevant, and hopefully Celtic can now just, buckle down or buckle up and settle down and beat Kilmarnock and, really build on that, because it's still in our hands. We've played the same amount of games as them, we've got the same amount of points as them. It's going to be nail-biting, nerve-shredding, all of that stuff, but, part of me is like, bring it on, this is what you live for. Celtic shared an 8.5 minute interview with Brendan Rodgers last night on Celtic TV. Sometimes in these kind of in-house interviews, you do get a wee nugget of information, an injury update or something like that. There really wasn't anything major that came out of this interview. Few things that they spoke about. Rodgers praised the team's character, their togetherness. He praised Callum McGregor. He spoke about the two forwards on Sunday and actually said that he felt the opening goal that Kyogo scored may not have been possible had it been a midfielder running onto the ball. Maybe Kyogo had that eagerness to get forward that even a midfielder wouldn't have. Interesting point. It was certainly a really well worked goal. So they spoke about that. He said the team are excited to return home this weekend, which kind of got me thinking. It has been a while since we've played at Celtic Park. It was that Ross County game. Liam Scales and Stephen Welsh were also spoken about by Rodgers. He praised Anthony Ralston as well. Just on Liam Scales, a report on Tuesday night suggested that the Republic of Ireland international was about to be rewarded for a pretty good season with a new contract at Celtic. Now, this came from Scott Burns from the Daily Record. He says we've opened discussions with Scales, who signed a 4-year deal when he joined the club back in 2021. And I know a few years just awake, so that means that he's out of contract at the end of next season. Now, as always with contract extensions, there's a fair bit of chat. Is the player deemed worthy of it? I don't think you could find too many people who, would genuinely feel that Liam Scales isn't worthy of a contract extension given how he's played for us this season. I think he's a pretty reliable player. He's proven to be a reliable Celtic player this season, and even when he wasn't getting game time in his first 2 seasons at the club, he kind of proved himself to be a consummate professional. And I know words like that are just bandied around and often don't have a lot of meaning, but I think Liam Scales is a genuinely good person to have around. Like, he's not the kind of guy that's going to spit the dummy at not playing or anything like that. I think, part of him is just delighted to be playing for a club like Celtic, but I don't think he's overawed either. I mean, some of his best performances this season have come, in the derbies, and you think back to Ibrox and you think back to some of the Champions League games where he was one of our best players. So I think he's certainly worthy of a new contract. If I'm honest, I still would want the club to aim a little bit higher in terms of quality for that centre-back position, and if we do feel we need to sign someone in the summer, which again I'd be looking for us to do, I would be looking, for the club to sign a maybe a level up from Liam Scales. That's not meant in a disparaging way to him. But I think for me, the ideal scenario next year would be to have Liam Scales maybe as our third choice centre-back. So I think for me, that's the ideal scenario. Keep Scales around, love having him at the club, and maybe just look to sign another centre-back to play alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers next season. And of course, our recruitment team will have no issues finding the right fit for that, will they? Sticking on the Republic of Ireland theme, the Rocco Vata also mentioned in that article as us being in negotiations with him, so that's one to look out for. I don't think that's news, I think that's olds, if you get what I'm saying. Also on the Ireland theme, Mikey Johnston, we mentioned on yesterday's video, me and Stevie, that he'd scored his first goal for West Brom as they beat Cardiff, a Cardiff team featuring David Turnbull and Nat Phillips. Mikey Johnston doing press after the game had a few things to say about Celtic and the situation there. He said, "The Championship is a great place for someone's career. I wasn't getting the minutes I wanted at Celtic. I was playing, but it was sporadic. Sometimes I'd play well and score and then wouldn't play the next game. It was frustrating. It was important for me to get out of Celtic, to be honest, and when West Brom came up, it's a great opportunity." He was speaking to BBC Radio West Midlands there, by the way. I don't really have a massive issue with his comments there. I mean, he's obviously going to speak positively about the club he's just joined, and I think, to be honest, he will be pretty pleased to get away from Celtic and, let's face it, move to a less pressurised environment. I know there's still pressure at West Brom, but like all the baggage with Mikey Johnston at Celtic and all of that stuff kind of goes when he moves away to West Brom, even on loan. So I'm delighted for him. The one thing I would pick up on is when he's saying that, he's kind of making out that he was a little bit hard done by. I mean, he did have chances to make it at Celtic, even, this season. He's had real chances. Remember, he came on in that St Johnstone game and played really well and kind of turned that game and got real praise from Brendan Rodgers that day. He started our next 4 matches after that, and he did nothing. He was really poor across all of those games, albeit he wasn't the only one. The team was struggling at that stage, but Mikey Johnston really didn't do anything. And then after that, I think he was dropped for a game, maybe 2 games, and the next match he comes in off the bench against Dundee and scores a double in like the last 10 minutes of the match. And that kind of sums up his Celtic career. It's like he can do it maybe when the pressure's off the bench, when the game's won, he can look really good. But when you really need it from him from the start, it wasn't there. So I think he has had chances. And I just hope he really takes his opportunity at West Brom and goes on to have a really good career. Doesn't seem like it's going to be at Celtic, but, stranger things have happened. Final thing for today is centering around another winger. The big kind of talking point, or one of the big talking points since the weekend, is Liel Abada. He was not included in the matchday squad for Sunday's match in the Scottish Cup at St Mirren. Rodgers then said he was kind of out of sorts. He's not been himself. Pretty obvious there's something going on there with Liel Abada. It's not just fans imagining it. Rodgers confirmed that. The update we got last night is that Abada is apparently back in training. Now, does that mean he's going to feature at all, even just on the bench on Saturday against Kilmarnock? Who knows? I'm guessing part of that might come down to how he's responded to last weekend and how he looks in training and whether his attitude's right. Personally, I'm kind of struggling to care too much. I mean, it's not as if Abada's like a big miss at the moment anyway, the way he's playing. If Rodgers can find a way to get him, fully firing, he can obviously be a big weapon for us. But I'm kind of got my doubts over whether that's going to happen, and I certainly think he's going to be leaving the club in the summer. So I guess we'll wait and see. We may find out more about it on Friday. In fact, I'm pretty sure Brendan Rodgers will be asked about Abada's availability for the match, so we should find out more at that stage. In terms of us tomorrow, we'll be back. We'll be focusing on the game against Kilmarnock. Remember, it's a team who have beaten us already twice this season. It's a pretty big game as we look to go 3 points clear again at the top of the Premiership. We'll look forward to that on tomorrow's video, cover any other news that's happened between now and then. Final thing, just to ask you again kindly, if you've found the channel and not yet subscribed, if you would mind doing it. I think we're over 2,000 now, which is a pretty remarkable start given that we only did the first video, I think, this day last week. So yeah, it's been a great start, but we want to keep going. If you're watching this and haven't yet subscribed, it's pretty easy to do. You can just subscribe, and it really does make a difference to us trying to grow this. I don't know why I'm saying us, it's literally just me at the moment. Right, chat to you tomorrow.